Hi there, my name's Amelia Kramer. I'm the owner here at Upwards Art Studio in the River District in Owen Sound. I have been painting with encaustic for about the past 15 years. We are running product demos at the store because we sell art supplies, but we also host workshops. So we're running demos of products that we have in the store and that we also use in our workshops so that you can become a little bit more familiar with them. Okay, so I'm going to switch cameras. Okay, so this is my work setup here. Okay, so I'm going to talk about R&F handmade pigment sticks today. So these are made in Montreal, or not Montreal, in New York. They're made in small batches. They're handmade. They're beautiful colors. They also make encaustic paints. This brochure has the full color line. So all of their colors that they make in the pigment stick also come in the encaustic pigment blocks, like the paint blocks. Okay, so we have the full line of them at the store. We actually have the large size. This is a sample size. So they come in these plastic containers. Once you get them, you can just throw this stuff away or reuse it for something like beads or some shells or something small that you would use. And then they come with this plastic coating over the end. Again, you would take that off and throw it away. So I'm just going to stick this one back in because this is my kind of how to open them and how to open them. So they are, so here's one that's used. So they are pigment that is mixed with beeswax and linseed oil. So they make perfect things for gestural drawing, for incorporating into encaustic and incorporating into cold wax and just regular oil painting. So when you get them, after you've used them a couple times, they'll develop this hard shell on them, right? Like it's really hard. And oops, I got it all over myself. I was doing this demo yesterday and forgot to make sure that the recording would work. So I recorded my face instead of what was on my paper, which was dumb. But we got it figured out now. Yeah, so they develop a hard shell on them, and that's to make sure that they don't get all over the place. So they're a lot nicer than just straight up oil paint because you can actually draw with them, right? Because oil paint in a tube is hard to draw with. So, so for safety, I should be wearing gloves right now because I'm touching them. So I'm going to put some on right now. So I just use the nitrile gloves because we don't know who's coming in for workshops. You can use latex. I like these ones because some of them are cut proof. I'm not sure that these ones are. Okay. Bear with me here. Okay, so when you first get them and I wanted to say one more thing about care and maintenance. So obviously, don't store them in the tube because this one is now stuck in here. I keep this as an example of what not to do. Like I can't even get the lid open. So I would have to like score it with an X-Acto knife or some sort of sharp blade and break the canister to actually get it out again. So don't do that. Okay, so and I store mine in a cardboard box, just loose. I do have my examples of new ones, but I just store them loose so that they develop that shell quickly. I find that there's some people that store them in like a plastic container. That's fine. It's not like that's not fine. I just find that the cardboard allows the air to come in and so that they dry faster and develop that shell faster. Okay, so this is, I'm gonna show on Arch's oil paper. This is nice because you don't have to gesso it beforehand. It comes treated so that you can use it right with oil right from the beginning. You can paint on this with regular oil paint, and you can use it with cold wax, and you can use it with cold wax or with pigment sticks because they're basically oil paint. Yeah, so I have a 3M delicate tape, which I put somewhere and now I can't find. Oh, here it is. So I use the purple tape on paper. I use the blue 3M tape on boards. The delicate one, this is the delicate one. I find it at the Home Depot. I don't have it in stock at the store. It's in the painting section, and it comes off paper without tearing the paper at all. The blue stuff is nice, but it can tear the paper, so I prefer this one on paper. Okay. Okay, so how to get them started. So if you've used them within the past, like even couple of days, you might be able to like dig your finger in and get it. I find the best thing is just a straight edge blade. So I just have lots of them in here. And you just cut the end off. This one I think I used yesterday, so I'm not sure how much I need to cut off. And you can, I'm just going to cut the edges off just a tiny bit here. So you can draw immediately with it, right? And you get this, you can have this full thickness of it. You can make skinnier lines, right? So it's very easy to make a gestural shape with it or a gestural drawing. So on the paper, you can see that it's leaving the paper kind of texture, which is to me cool because why else would you like, you're using paper, so why not show it? Okay, so so this is another one. So I'm just gonna cut the end off of it. We'll see how I do today with colors going everywhere. Right, and with the gestural drawing, you can see that it's not really mixing too much. If I go back and forth, it's gonna mix, but if I'm just over top of it, it's not gonna mix. Okay, so I can also blend two colors together, which I was kind of doing here. So I'm gonna get some on here. And you can be really thick with it too, right? So this is significantly, like I can get really thick with it, right? And I'm just going to put another bit down here of a different color, and we'll see what happens here. So I can pull one up and pull the other one down, and I get this nice blending in the middle. So you can use that to your advantage, knowing color mixing. Okay, so that's blending two colors together. You can also use it with a palette knife like you would oil paint. So I'm just going to squish out a bunch here and get a palette knife. I'm just going to squish it. This is palette paper. You can use wax paper or parchment paper that's taped to your work surface. I like this because it comes in big pads and it's easy to use, easy to find. Like easy to find in my studio, I mean. Okay, so I got some on my palette knife. I've kind of squished out the little chunky bits a little bit, just because of the skin on the side. So I can pick it up and like squish it out, right? I'm just gonna get rid of that bit. I can add another color. And this is completely compatible with regular oil paint as well. So you can mix this with your oil paint or draw on top of your oil paint with this. Okay, so here's like another squish in a different color, right? I can get it to blend by using the knife back and forth. You can also obviously use your fingers because I was using my fingers there. And you can also use a brush. So this is just one of my oil brushes. I can pick it up just like regular oil paint and just paint with it as well. So something else that you can do with it is thin it with mineral spirits. So this is Gamsol. This is odorless mineral spirits made by Gamblin. So I can put it here on my palette paper, just like a little drop, or I could put it on my paper and do a wash on my paper directly. So I'm just going to pick up some of this and kind of pull it over to my mineral spirits. Right, and now I have more of a wash of it. So it's a lot thinner than what's over here. And I can thin it out even more if I need to. And this, I can move around what's on my palette already with the spirits that I put on my paper. So I could pull all of this. And then I would clean this brush using my jar of mineral spirits. You can also thin it with the blender stick. So they make a blender stick. This one's a huge one. I'm just gonna wipe the end off. And you would start it just like your regular pigment sticks. So you can, I'm just gonna peel this off too, because this one's getting a little gross. So we don't have these big sizes. We can order them. And they actually, it can come in a tub as well. There's some different sizes of tubs. So again, we can order this, the different sizes. The ones that we have in the store are this, I think these are 37 milliliter. So they're the skinny ones. And the blending sticks, they come with a dryer or without a dryer. Again, we have both kinds in the store. So you can use it like right on your paper or on your panel, and then use it similar to a mineral spirits that it will thin it out. You can also just put it on there, and then even with your finger, push it around. And again, you're getting more of a wash. And it's super thin, this one, because I put a lot of the blender stick on. And then these all take time to dry because they are oil. Just like regular oil paint, it can take, anywhere from a couple days to like a couple months, depending on the pigment. So I'm going to show it with encaustic, and I didn't quite get that ready. I'm not sure why. Okay, so this is one that I use in the store when people come in to ask about pigment sticks and how they would use them with encaustic. So this green is a big gestural. This is all dry because it's been, except for this is new last night or yesterday, and this is new. Where am I going with this? So this is a gestural shape. This is, I'm going to show you this, carving in. So I have a carving tool, and I can remove wax and make incisions into the wax. And I can fill those, instead of with wax, different colored wax, I can fill it with pigment stick. So I'm just going to take some on my finger. Most of the time I don't have a palette paper when I'm working with encaustic, and I just put my finger in the stick and then smush it into the holes, or into the lines or holes or whatever I've made. And right now that looks like crap. So I'm going to get some oil. You can use, so you can use the blender stick to clean this up. I find that vegetable oil, any cheap vegetable oil or oil that's on sale at the grocery store works just fine. So I'm just going to put a little bit on a paper towel, not too much. Oil will soften the wax. So I'm going to use this little bead right here, kind of get up the significant amount of it. And then I'm going to turn my paper towel over to the dry side and really try to get the rest of that oil off. So now it's in the lines instead of all over the place. So this part here, you can see there that it's really textured. in the light. And then I've rubbed oil stick over top of it. So I made that texture with an iron, like a colder iron, not cold, but like not super hot to make it smooth. And then here I was just showing that they could, here I was showing that they could blend, and you can mix the colors together. And then this is accretion. So this is building up texture. So you can, I think this is the same color that I used yesterday. So I can get it on my finger again and just go over the whole thing. And then use the oil. I'm just going to use the same spot that had the excess. And then it goes into all the grooves, into the grooves of the texture. You can also just hit the high spots. So with that, I would use just, I'm going to use a different color so it might show up. I guess I have to use it here. Right, I can just hit the high spots or some of the high spots. And then I have 3 different colors there. So I have that pale blue, a darker like ultramarine blue in the wax, and then that sepia, whatever color that is, in the pigment stick as well. So pigment stick on wax, I would leave it to dry if possible. You can give it a quick fuse. I have found in the past when I layered it and didn't let it, like I layered it, fused it, and didn't let it dry completely, my piece flaked apart. Because we all know that, or encaustic painters know that your painting is in layers, and thin layers. So it wasn't fusing, it wasn't bonding the 2 layers together with the pigment stick in between very well. If it's dry, then it will. Oops, and I just squished all that new stuff. If it's dry, it will, but if it's wet, I would leave it to dry. That's my recommendation, but you can try it however you want to. So it can have a light fuse. I wouldn't like try to like fuse it really hardly and try to get it to swim, but that's a personal choice. R&F does say that you can mix it with your encaustic medium to pigment the medium. Again, that's a personal choice. They make the encaustic blocks in the same color range, so I just use the blocks because like they're created to do that. So I don't want to waste my pigment sticks, which have applications with cold wax as well, whereas the encaustic blocks are just encaustic. That makes sense. Okay. So I'm going to go back to this one, and I'm going to mix this with cold wax now. So this is my little jar of cold wax. This is from Gamblin. Again, it's a small paint company. They make beautiful paints, beautiful mediums. We have them in the store. So cold wax, if you haven't used it, is basically a medium for oil paint. Similar how there's that huge range of acrylic mediums. This is for oil paint, like a liquid or something. Just as an aside, that you add to oil paint, and it increases, or it reduces the dry time and also makes your painting really matte. So you can use it up to, like when you're regular painting, like not a glaze, you can mix it up to a ratio of 50% wax to 50% paint. So I'm just going to get some on my palette here. If you're doing a glaze, then the ratio is obviously different. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do another color so that you can see it. So I'm going to do this bright pink. This is warm rose, I think. I can't even read the label anymore. I'm just slicing the end off to start it. I can like use my finger to, like when I'm using encaustic, I usually just use this little bit with my finger. Okay, and I'm going to use this knife because it's sharp. So you can cut them with a palette knife supposedly, but I can never get it to work. I'm not very strong, so I'm just going to squish some out of the end there. Okay, and then I'm going to maybe 50-50 and use my palette knife to squish it around. So the nice thing about cold wax is the dry time if you're more used to something that dries quickly. So this creates a shell within a day so that you can work on wet on dry instead of wet on wet all the time. Not all the time, but yeah, anyway. So again, you can, and it's thick, right? It's very impasto, so you can get very textural work, right? I can leave that big blob there if I want to. And it will dry a different glossiness, different finish than this, which will dry kind of like a glossy medium gloss, and this will dry completely matte. So I can also, not with just the palette knife, I'm just gonna get some of that off. Well, actually, I need it again. These are dough scrapers. They're what's usually used with cold wax. Let me just get all this ready to go. So you can load your squeegee and you can put it right on. So here, I'm kind of applying it. I can squeegee upright so that I get the stuff, so that the stuff underneath comes through, or I'm just gonna take some of that dirty stuff off and do it again with something clean, or I can use it flat and make it more textured. And I can, you don't have to always paint in lines with this. You can actually get like shapes, shapes and actually fine detail. I do know somebody that paints birds with these, so it doesn't always have to be, not sure why I did that. So it doesn't always have to be flat and, or it doesn't always have to be linear or a linear shape. So there's lots of different techniques with cold wax of how to apply it using stencils and all that kind of stuff. So with a glaze, I'm not sure that I need to, I'm not going to do a glaze because that's more like, we did some like washes here. So a glaze with cold wax is just more cold wax to a little bit of pigment, mix it around, and then you can, I usually do it when my painting is more set up so that I'm getting the glaze instead of mixing wet on wet. Okay, so that's what I was, oh, let me change my camera again. So that's what I was going to cover. That's what I did cover yesterday in my screwed up video for my demo. Next week, there is, not next week, in 2 Saturdays, there is another demo. All the information is on our website, upwardsartstudio.com. If you have any questions, comment. I think I'm putting this on YouTube. I'm going to link through Facebook and Instagram. So if you have any questions, comment through there or email us at the store. The email is upwardsartstudio@gmail.com. Upwards like the direction with an S on the end. Yeah, so happy painting. Thanks, everyone.